Hey, this is Phil Lilley, Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on Lake Taneycomo. We're going to do one cast today. I'm out here with Jackson. It is Friday the 27th? 6th. I had a feeling I was going to get ahead of myself. 26th of November. We're going to do the one cast. I am right across from the Cooper Creek public dock. Fish the Cooper Creek flats here. The wind is out of the south, so it's blowing me downstream. And I'm going to try to kind of stay close to this bank, but not on the bank. There's a lot of wood on this bank, so kind of stay away from that. I'm going to use the same thing I was fishing yesterday. It is the chartreuse mega worm under a float. I'm going to fish it a little bit deeper than I was fishing it yesterday because this water is deeper. We're going to fish it about 5 feet deep. Yeah, that wind is really blowing through this section. Pretty busy on the lake today, a lot of boats. We've got a lot of boats out. Catching is a little tough. I might have to go a little deeper on this, but I'm going to start with 5 feet. I'm using 2-pound line. I might have to switch the camera because it's going to be really hard to keep the boat where I want it without pointing it up towards the sun. This area can have a lot of fish in it. It's a good spot to stop and fish. And I am going to have to switch the camera here in a second. I'm going to do that right now. No fish on the first cast. And what we did yesterday. Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to control the boat from this direction. Excuse me, Jack. Of course, now the wind died down. I was planning on using a mega worm for just a little bit. Then I'm going to switch over to a jig under a float if this is not appealing. We sold a lot of night crawlers today. They're running that half unit of water again all day today, and it's been running for about 3 days now. Oxygen is creeping up a little bit. I saw it was at 8 now coming out of the dam, and the temperature dropped a ½ degree, so we'll start to see that temperature drop real slow and the oxygen come up. Blake said some guys came in with some really nice fish. They were fishing a sculpin jig from Fall Creek down, 1/8 ounce, and they said they just threw it out and let it drift on the bottom, just bump the bottom in that real slow current. I didn't ask him if they'd said that they lost a bunch of jigs that way. I would assume they would. That's just dragging a hook on the bottom. But he said that they came back with some really nice fish this morning. The current down here at a half unit is really, really slow. I tell you the truth, I've never fished a mega worm down this low in the lake. There is no reason in the world why it wouldn't work. The only question I have right now is, you know, am I fishing it deep enough or am I fishing it too deep? So I'm going to go ahead and reel in. I'm going to make it a little bit deeper. About a foot deeper. A little over 6 feet now. This Cooper Creek flat, the channel up above me and below me is, above me is 12 feet, 13 feet for the most part. This flat was not quite as deep. That's why, there's a fish. Here I'm trying to maneuver the boat at the same time. Little stalker. It's okay. Ouch. Turn that hook and release him. So that was cool. Straighten out my worm a little bit. Okay. Sorry, I got a text. I got to see who that is. I'm going to take my brother-in-law fishing here and just, ooh, that was a nice fish. Should have got that on camera too. Here a week or so ago, people were reporting they were catching some really nice fish down in this flat, so we will catch a lot of stalkers here, but those bigger fish have migrated out of the trophy area here lately, and they'll be dispersed all through the lake. This is a good place for them to congregate. Down in front of the College of the Ozarks waterfall. They still pump water out of the lake for their boiler heater system. In the summertime they pump water out for their irrigation system and their cooling system. Like I said yesterday, I'm really trying to keep my rod tip close to the water so the wind doesn't blow it. And I'm still moving the float a little bit, even though there's a lot of wave action on my float. Mainly because I want to make sure I'm not letting out too much slack. Oh, there was a little bump. He bumped it. That float, carrot float's kind of long. It's got a smaller end on the bottom, so it's easier to pull under, and it tends to tip when I get a bite. That smaller end will pull down in the water just a little bit. I like this spot really good right here before this point. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up a little bit and get a little closer to the bank and drift down through here. Give me a chance to answer. Kind of picked up a little bit too, so kind of wait on that for a second. I think I'm dragging the bottom. I think I'm a little bit deep. I moved in a little bit. I think it's shallowed up a little too much. Looked like that float was dragging just a little bit. Got a a lot of pondweed along the bank too, so I kind of watch that. Sometimes it's just under the water and I can't see it. There's one. It's another nice little eating fish. A little bigger than the first one. I knew you were going to do that. So this mega worm is working down here. It's pretty cool. He took that float under. Oh! He's running with it. Get back over there, see if I can catch him. He took it under. You got to be really careful. That float needs to move with the current. You don't want to drag it. In other words, that's why another really good reason to keep your rod tip on the water, because you don't want the wind taking the line and making a big belly and then dragging that float faster or slower in the current. It'll make your, whatever you have under the float, it'll make it right up, and it won't be naturally drifting like it's supposed to be. Ha! Came out. Thought I was going to eat that one. Let's get it out there a little further. So when you throw it out, immediately drop that rod tip, because that wind will just really put a bow in it. And what I'm doing, when I lift it up and go to do that, I'm actually correcting that and taking that. Ooh, boy, he hit that one hard. Correcting that bow, putting it down. Lifting it up out of the water and dropping it back down so it's straighter instead of that big old bow in there, and because that wind's a little tough today, but manageable. Of course, I'm having to make a lot of adjustments on my trolling motor too. Give it a few more minutes here. I like this area below the point. This whole flat here is good. Caught some big fish in this area. I'm not going to tie a jig on. I'm gonna have to call it quits a little bit early. But I like how this mega worm has performed. I've missed 2 or 3 bites. I had one on and I lost, and I caught 2. Man, missed another one. It was a little kind of a strange bite. I've still got it set about 5 feet, and I think that's perfect down through here. And this is really good water to be fishing, even if it's 1 or 2 units. It's still slow enough, and I like it anyhow. I moved out away from the bank, which the wind kind of took me out here, but it's all right. Just stay with it. Although, if I'm not going to get bit, I'm going to move back in. I might. If I stayed out here, I think I'd go a little deeper because it's probably 7 or 8 feet out here. Let's go back in. I'm not quitting too early. Time goes by quick. Oh, looky here. It kind of balled up on me after I got that bite. It was wrapped once and it wasn't hanging off straight. I'm not saying they won't hit it, but I sure like it when it's hanging off there straight, not balled up. Yeah, I'm on the bottom, so I'm a little bit too deep here. I'll move out just a little bit. So I'm almost about 3.5 feet now. It's my last cast. I was about ready to move it, and it started to go under. It might have been the bottom. I don't know. It might be some weeds out here that I'm catching. You know, another really good thing to use here, especially if there's weed beds, is like a rooster tail or a Cleo. Worked along this bank, because you can work it over the top of those weed beds. Ha. Easy little one. That one I lost is probably the biggest one that I hooked today, and that one is the smallest. Well, that's cool. A lot of action down here, a lot of fish. Glad it worked out. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks.